Okay, good afternoon from Nigeria, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Faidat Mosi. Very excited to be your host today, your moderator, and the host is iScholar Initiative. So thank you very much for joining our session on navigating your first year in grad school. In June, we had a session on navigating graduate school applications, which we believe was very, very valuable for participants. And if you missed that, you can catch that on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, iScholar Initiative. So you've gone through all the rigorous application process. Now you're set to resume in grad school. So how do you navigate your way in your first year in grad school? How do you ace it? How do you manage culture shock and all of those kind of things? So that's what we'll be discussing with our panelists today. Um, so today, next slide, please. I'm so sorry, I have to be saying next slide. So our outline for today, introduction about iSI. We're going to hear from our panelists an overview of their first year in grad school. We'll run through the many questions you've sent to us in the past few weeks, and we'll also get parting words and tips from the panelists and a closing remark. Before that, next slide, please. Okay, so this is me. My name is Faidat Badamosi. I'm a 2019 iScholar and a graduate of the Premier University, University of Ibadan. And something interesting about me is I volunteer as the operations manager of iScholar Initiative. And I'm your moderator today. So a bit about us at iScholar Initiative. So iScholar Initiative is a charitable organization that was launched in 2019 and registered in 2020 in the USA. And we seek to mentor and empower young African students in fulfilling their dreams to pursue graduate studies via access to fully funded scholarships in world-class foreign universities by leveraging the network of partnering members.
Hello.
The past few years, we have helped or we have supported more than 100 students by paying for their standardized test fees. And this year we introduced a predetermined number of application fees, which we'll be paying for. So this webinar and other webinars that we have done is part of the what we do to support young people, not only iScholars, but everyone interested in grad school. So thank you again for joining us today. So I'll go right into introducing our panelists, which I'm sure you've seen their profile and bio in the flyers we've been sharing in the past few days and hours. First up, we have Ofure Ebomielen. My apologies if I didn't pronounce that well. So Ofure is a graduate of computer science from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and she's currently on a master's program at Stanford University, USA, studying artificial intelligence. So Ofure is pretty much representing USA. And we have Cyril Pepple. Cyril is a graduate of petroleum engineering from University of Port Harcourt. He graduated in 2018 and is currently studying an MSc in petroleum engineering at Imperial College London, sponsored by Shell Nigeria. So Cyril is pretty much representing the United Kingdom. And next up, we have Jennifer Confidence. Oh, my apologies, Samuel Ogunshola. So Samuel is a research student at University of Manitoba in Canada, and his research is focused on molecular mechanisms. He's a One Young World Ambassador, AstraZeneca Young Health Program Scholar, and a lot. I'm sure we'll hear a lot from him, particularly about research, publishing, and also getting involved in so many other things in grad school. Thank you, Samuel. And finally, we have Jennifer Confidence. Jennifer is a policy consultant for ECOSOCC on the African Union Team of the year 2021. She holds a bachelor's degree in international relations and strategic studies. Currently, she is pursuing 2 master's degrees, MSc Policy and Development Studies and International Master Security, Intelligence and Strategic Studies. Jennifer is an Erasmus scholar and she's pretty much representing Europe here. So we'll go right into it. First, I'd like our panelists to share an overview of their first year in grad school. So you're just going to give us a rundown of everything, your the fun part, things you wish you knew, and all of those kind of things. So you have 3 minutes to do that. I'll start with Ofure. Ofure, are you there?
Hi.
Hi, Ofure.
Hi, everyone. So Fahidat asked if she pronounced my name properly. To be honest, it's totally fine because in the last, I think like 6 months, I have heard at least maybe 50 different pronunciations of my name. So I'm cool, we're cool. So when iScholar reached out and sent the questions, I hadn't really stopped to think about how I have been in the last 6 months. And because it's just been one thing after the other, one assignment, one project, one report. But how, because I started in January, and to be honest, like the last 6 months they haven't really been easy because there've been a lot I have been exposed to. First, I had to be a teaching assistant for a class that I had never even taken before. Then I found out that, okay, to read assignments, it probably takes me like 4 hours to read like a problem set, not to talk about the hours you spend doing it. It's been a virtual world and it's not like you have like physical interaction. I mean, on top of everything, I'll go out to throw away the trash and then they're like, oh, I have to sort it out into plastics and glasses. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, but that's been one side of it. Looking at the positive, which I had to sit down and think about yesterday, it's been really good. Like I have done things that I didn't even think that I was going to do, things that naturally I would just shy away from. And I have like surmounted things that I didn't even know I was going to be able to. Even the class that I was a teaching assistant, class I had never taken, I ended up getting like really good reviews. Um, and even like classes, grades haven't been bad either. I've also met like a couple of Nigerians who have been a support system for me. So in a nutshell, I would say that my past 6 months, not year, my past 6 months has been really, there've been ups and downs, but I think it's been a journey for me. It's a journey that I'm looking back and I know that I'm not the same offer who started grad school. So yeah, that's been how it's been up and down, but it's been good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Ofure. I'm sure we'll hear more about the ups and downs, just like you said in the past 6 months. So, Samuel, are you there? Would like to hear from you.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone, and it's nice meeting you, Fure. And I also want to appreciate iScholar for the great works you're doing and for helping scholars to get opportunities to come abroad. So um, have access to good education, research, and others. So, wow, my first year has been filled with great experiences, ups and downs too, just like Ofre said. So I started in January, and immediately I got into Canada. It was winter, so it was very, very cold. We were having like minus 30, minus 28, So, and COVID was there, so I couldn't even step out. So when I first came in, I had to do 14 days quarantine, and during this quarantine period, I just tried to like look into the programs, what are the things I'll be working on, what are the courses I'm going to take, and how will the research look like, something like that. So after my quarantine, I moved straight into taking courses. So I did not start research immediately due to COVID. So the courses were great. I have different experiences. There's some courses that I had A plus, and there's some courses that did not go on well. And I would love to also share more experience into that and what I was able to do, to get the A plus and what the mistakes I made, why I couldn't get A plus in some. So after taking the courses, I resumed fully into my research in May. So the funniest thing about this is most of the things I'm doing in my research, I did not hear about them before in my undergrad. So I was doing something completely different, working in a lab where some of the equipment I've not even seen them before. So it was very new to me. At first, I had the fear that how am I going to cope? How will things work out? Because all these things I don't know them before. But I'm actually glad to share with all that I was able to carry out some stuff using those equipment, and I've presented in like 2 conferences since I started in the last 6 months. And I'm currently even working on a publication, and all those courses too were great and became like took some memberships too. So the graduate studies have been a great one for me. I've met a lot of people, identified a lot of new skills, identify myself, like know myself better, and I'm very sure like in the next 1 or 2 years, I should actually like get more into it and get out better. So thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, Samuel. I mean, I think you've done outstanding in 6 months. You've presented in conferences, you're working on a publication, and you even mentioned something like you had a knowledge gap and you've been able to fill that. I'm sure you'd share more on that as we progress during the session. So, Jennifer.
Yeah. So, do you mind my camera being off, or would you want it on?
I think everyone would really want to see your face.
Oh. All right. Okay. Hi. Yeah, so I would say mine has been tough and exciting. Now Erasmus scholars, we move from one part of the world to the other. And so it comes with a whole lot of exciting experiences. And at the same time, it can be quite challenging when, you're just traveling. And at about the time you're trying to settle in and you're making new friends in that country, you're asked to pack your loads and you start living to a different country. So it was quite challenging, traveling, settling in and getting to live when you're just beginning to get to make friends and love the country and, learn other exciting things about the country. Those were part of the challenges I had. I also had challenges with the weather. Like I was almost at every point complaining because ordinarily in Nigeria, I feel cold with our regular temperature. And so imagine coming here. So it was a big challenge for me and I had issues and I was always kitted up, wearing layers upon layers and all that. But I think I would say I'm gradually adapting because it's part of the experience. And I had challenges with virtual classes, Zoom and all that. Like it was a huge challenge to me, sitting in front of the camera for hours and, at the same time after the classes, you have to go back and start writing and reading on your laptop. So I had a lot of challenges with that. But with all these challenges I've mentioned, yes, a lot of challenges and all that, but it was also, exciting because it opened me up to new opportunities, loads of opportunities. I've gotten to, meet people, not just on my program, but also, other people, other Nigerians, locals. I've also managed to meet my secondary school classmates on the streets of one of the countries. I'm like, this is interesting. So yeah, and it's also made me realize that, come on, I can do a lot. I can actually do a lot. So yeah, it's been challenging, but generally, I think it's been a great experience.
Okay, very, very glad to hear that. I even like the fact you talked about moving everywhere, Erasmus and all that. So we also received questions, particularly how you handled your mobility and all of those kind of things. And I'm sure you'd be willing to share that with us. So, Cyril.
Hi, Fahidat. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me, Fahidat?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you for the invites. An overview of my first year in grad school. Um, so the usual, I got here in autumn and it was really cold then. And for someone who, wasn't like nothing prepares you for the kind of weather I met when I came here. So I came to London with some kind of makeshift winter wear, but then the durability or the effectiveness of that wear was tested when I first landed, and it was something I never really experienced that. So that was the first shock I received, and then having to immediately start learning virtually and having to cope with the whole virtual learning thing, having to stay at the screen for extended periods of time. I mean, it was really, really stressful for me. But I did enjoy the environment, having to finally come to, in quote, a saner climate where I could literally walk around, see some kind of, appreciate culture and appreciate everything that comes with it. But in terms of my workload, I would say it's something I sort of anticipated because I had done some kind of research. I'd met some students, ex-students who also studied at Imperial. So I was kind of like preparing my mind for it. But the mental extent or the mental preparedness of that was something I I really did not anticipate. But I just sort of positioned my mind to expect the worst. But then it just kept on stretching and overstretching and overstretching me. And looking back, in hindsight, I can just say that I've really become a better person. Like there are different dimensions of myself that I'm very proud of now. Prior to beginning my MSc, I never thought I had those versions in me. Like, so I'm really looking forward to how this program unravels me, how I get to unbox myself, and how I get to place myself in more difficult situations. So at the moment, I'm currently working on my MSc thesis, and it's a bit different, and it's something I'm learning a lot from. Because I'm having to deal with energy transition. My course, petroleum engineering, and there's a lot of buzz about energy transition and new energies now. So it's something that's quite fascinating because I'm having to blend into the transition and actually have to research on something that has to do with that. But yeah, altogether, it's been a lovely experience for me. Though COVID happened, it happened everywhere, it happened to everybody. But I'm taking the positives from it, and I'm looking at becoming a better person and having to share more of my experience as we progress in the webinar. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Cyril. And I like that you mentioned that you had to prepare mentally. So it would be great for you to share some of those tips that can help those of us coming to prepare mentally. So thank you guys for sharing an overview of your first year in grad school. So we'll go right into the question and answer. The participants on the call in the past few weeks have been sending in their questions and all that. And the good thing is we have tried to put all of these questions in um, different buckets, in 5 major buckets. So academics, finance, housing, social and networking, and then life generally. So we'll be starting with the academics. I'm just going to read out the question and ask one of you to respond to it. We're good, yeah? So academics first. So someone asked, how stressful is it settling into a different educational system and teaching style? Um, Samuel, would you like to share something on this?
Okay, thank you, Farida. So, I would say it is not that stressful for me because I actually enjoy the educational system here. So it's they use active learning system. So when we come to class, it's not like Nigeria where the lecturer just come and take us and then leave. So it's like we are the one teaching each other. So before I come to class, I have to read. I have to study papers, understand the course content before I come to class. So when I get to class, all of us, we just discuss. So the professors at times just bring questions, and then we students are the ones that we answer the question. So that was kind of interesting. And another thing is we don't take many courses like that. Maybe in a term, just have like 2 or 3 courses to take. So you have, you have a lot of time to actually read those courses well, understand them better, and try to also like plan other things. You can do your research alongside, and if you want to work or something. So the educational system is very good. Yeah, though but there was an issue I had with the course, and the challenge was that I did not understand anything in the course. So it's neurophysiology, and everything we're doing is all about brain, spinal cord. It was so complicated. So then and another challenge was the way the professors were speaking. So at times I don't even get to hear anything they were saying in class because of the complex terms. So one thing I was able to do for that, to settle down, is to actually look for someone that I've passed through the system before. So I have a roommate that I've graduated from the university. So I met with him and asked him, how were you able to go through, this kind of problem? So and he was able to take me through. And I also like liaised with my classmates to read together. And that was how I skilled through the course. So one just need to like understand oneself and look at how you can get the best out of what you're doing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So in Canada, they speak English, and we speak English in Nigeria, but it was still a bit difficult to hear what your lecturers are saying. So I would want Jennifer to share our experience on settling into a different educational system and teaching style, considering that you are in Europe, and I think you're in a non-English speaking country. Jennifer.
I have actually been to the countries I've been to, we've been taught in English. So yeah, the UK and Ireland. But I would still try to share something on that. I think, first of all, you need to understand that you are equal to the tax. That's the first thing I would want you to understand. You're equal to the tax, and else you wouldn't have been maybe offered scholarship or admission and stuff like that. So that's the first thing you need to understand. So I know that there might be challenges with language for those people who are maybe non-English speaking countries, or maybe countries that might have some issue. You might have some issues with your accent or something like that. So yeah, there might be challenges with that, but I think you can always try to overcome that with preparing ahead of time, reading, meeting your lecturers, talking with your colleagues and all that. For me, I didn't really have so much of that. I had a different issue myself, and that's why I started with saying you should understand that you are equal to the tax. I think I don't know if I should term it something like an imposter syndrome, where, I was asking myself, like, it got to a time like, are you sure I'm supposed to be here? Like things like that, because of the COVID, learning online, and you don't get to meet so much people. I had that challenge, and until I had to speak with a lot of people, and this was what they actually told me: you're equal to the tax, and else you won't be here, be selected among a whole lot of people. And so I got to understand that, and I started working with that mentality.
Thank you so much for sharing. And you really made mention of something important, imposter syndrome. So like Jennifer said, first of all, believe that you're equal to the task. You started the journey by applying, you got in, and then you're really equal to the task. Ofre, what's it like in the USA? What has been settling into the educational system been for you?
I think each class comes with its own style, its own teaching style. So for me, it has just been getting people. I'm doing a class on C programming. I have never programmed in C before. Get a partner. I'm doing something on social computing. We have to write all these papers and do experiments, get people who are like-minded to be in your group. So I think the way I have adapted really is just looking for people to put in my circle, and just, it's like leaning on people. It's just, yeah, using people, and you find out that it's a lot less stressful. And yeah, for me, I've just been leaning on people. And that's how I think I've been able to get through till now.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Cyril, I'd like to know what it's like in the UK. I usually hear that you have 6 hours class straight. Is that really it? How did you handle all of this?
Well, yes. So we do have like 9 to 5 classes with an hour, 2 hour break in between every day, like from Monday to Friday. So the UK uses a sort of module-based system where you can be taught a particular module for about a week, and then the next week you start learning another module. So it was really stressful for us, like for me, because most of those modules were modules that involved some kind of collaboration, with other people, and because it was virtual, it was really difficult to really feel, the practicality of everything, to really, get in the mood, to really interact, and get all the vital points from it. So that was one of the major challenges I had. And these modules, you'd have to say, for example, reservoir engineering. You take a module on reservoir engineering and you'd finish everything on reservoir engineering for the whole of that week. So for that week, you're just talking about reservoir engineering. And in some cases, you'll be given like a presentation to just present on a particular concept, talk about it and stuff like that. So yeah, it was quite challenging initially, but having to get used to the virtual learning platform, and also trying to schedule some kind of meetings in person with some of my classmates also helped to overcome that challenge.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. So we'll move right to the next question. And I think courses, registering for courses should be quite similar in all these places. So I just asked two people to respond to this. Offer, what's it like selecting the right courses to register in grad school in the US?
So usually you have a program sheet for maybe the specialization or the area of interest that you are interested in. So you can take that as like a guide to know that, okay, these are the set of courses I have to do to be able to graduate from this program. But then along the line, there are also some courses that, at least in my school, that they send out through emails. Like, oh, okay, this course is going to hold next quarter. If you want to take this course, then, I mean, they'll just give you like a course description. So because like the system is, there's a lot of work for each course. So you can't like take 10 courses in one quarter or one semester. So you have to like restrict it to like 3. And you don't want to take like 3 difficult courses, because that would mean you're basically spending all your time going to classes, doing assignments and things like that. So you might just want to, okay, 2 classes, 2 hard classes, then one, it's not like it's easy, but one lesser, harder, less hard, whatever that adjective is, but yeah, a less hard class. So I think you just want to do it like that. And another thing I did was, before I came in, I kind of did an outline of my 6 quarters, because I think it's 6 quarters that I have to spend here. So quarter 1, these are classes I want to take, quarter 2, these are classes I want to take, quarter 3. But that has changed a lot in the last 6 months. But that just gave me an idea of where I was going and like the courses I had to take or put into like focus. So yeah, first you have a program sheet that should guide you, and then you have like other courses that you can put in, like slot in to fill or to fulfill like the number of units that you need to graduate. So yeah, that's mainly it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Jennifer, considering you're studying in different locations, how do you select the right courses to register in grad school?
Well, I think unlike Ofure, I love to go for the courses that are always challenging. I just like, the feel of trying to learn new things, trying to, put more effort in something. I I like maybe courses that are quite new, even though I understand that, okay, they might be somewhat challenging and all that, but I just enjoy picking those courses. I want to have conversations in new areas. And even though I don't advise people that come to me, I tell them, please go for the ones like you can deal with. you don't have to do it this my style. I just enjoy having new conversations and learning new things about and just taking up that challenge. That's just basically me.
Okay, great. So Samuel, when you gave an overview of your first year in grad school, you talked about something like a knowledge gap. So this question is, did you experience any knowledge gap? If yes, how were you able to handle it? Samuel, did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. So okay, there was actually a huge knowledge gap, as I said earlier. But one thing I put at the back of my mind is this: that the reason why I'm in school is to come and learn. I'm not here to come and show that I already know all these things, and that's why I came to school to, in the first place. So I take everything as a learning process, and I just had to develop a growth mindset towards everything I'm doing. So my advisor also gave me an idea that Google is your best friend. So anytime maybe you are reading a paper, you don't understand the term, just go on Google and search for the meaning of the term. So don't read as if you want to cram. Read to understand each of the points, each of the sentence that you're reading. So through that, I was able to build up my knowledge. And another thing that helped me was I had a reading course with my advisor. So it's a one-on-one reading course. So we select papers every week. And then after reading the paper, I do a presentation slide to present the paper to him. And then we ask questions. So through that, I was able to learn more. So one thing I would just say to everyone is, if you are going to school, know that you are going there to learn, and there are a lot of things that you have not heard before. So just have a growth mindset that you want to go there to learn, not show that you already know all these things. So when you have that feeling of growth mindset, I feel you won't look down on yourself when you don't understand something. So you just need to find an opportunity to learn them. Go to Google, meet people too, so you can schedule like a section with your professors. And here you don't have a barrier with professors. If you don't understand a word, you can just send a mail to them. Hi, professor, this I don't understand this point you made in class. Can we have a section to explain? So from there, you tend to build your knowledge. So that's my experience. Thank you.
Awesome. So mindset is key. So we need to really, really develop a very good mindset no matter what. And so Cyril, 9 to 5 classes. Was there ever a class where you felt, what are they even saying? How did you handle this?
Oh yes, yes, there was a class like that. So it was the well testing module. So I'd already done well testing in my undergrad, but the well testing we did was very theoretical, like very theoretical. We'd have formulas, lots of formulas, the derivations and everything. But when I came here, we started the well testing module, and I was just seeing a lot of practical interpretations. Like I did not even know where the lecturer was bringing most of the interpretations from. So it was really strange to me. And then I started to ask previous students, like, how were you able to overcome this challenge? So they told me it was the same kind of experience they had. So usually, I think at undergraduate level, the kind of well testing, or I should say some very core petroleum engineering modules you do at undergraduate level, would not really bring out all the practical stuff, or not really add a lot of flesh to it for understanding. But when you start doing some kind of advanced studies, you now start to see how you can translate this into industrial terms. So for me, what I did was so there's this slogan that has to do with repetition. Like repetition helps with memory, something like that. Repetition is key. So I had to, because we had recordings to these videos, so I had to rewatch the recordings, rewatch recordings, get auxiliary materials, go to YouTube, see how this well testing is being used currently in the industry, because that was the easiest way I could really see, okay, why am I really learning this thing? What's the essence of this of these interpretations? So by regularly doing that, And mind you, we just had like about 7 days to learn that module. And the way our courses are structured at Imperial, if you miss out in grasping a particular module before the start of the next module, you feel so frustrated. So I just had like 7 days, and I was just acting really fast, like really, really fast. Like the lecturer would be in, say, chapter 4 and you're in chapter 3. So you just have to speed up your process, speed up your understanding. Like there were periods I just slept for like 4 hours, 5 hours, just because I wanted to meet up and I wanted to fill in that gap. And also because the module had like a research component or a report writing component as well. Plus the other Nigerian factor of not falling your hands, people respect Nigerians outside, so you don't want to come to, you don't want to, you don't want to now be the bad egg or the person they would like start pointing hands or something like that. So yeah, so that was how I was able to overcome that hurdle.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Sounds a bit tough here, but Jennifer said it from the beginning. We are up to the task. So the next question is about language barriers, but everyone on this call, I think you guys are being taught in English, but I still want Jennifer, who is touring Europe, to say something about this, probably what you've heard from your friends who have had to deal with this and all that.
Okay, I think I can say something about that. I have some friends who have gone to other countries, and we have conversations around challenges with language and all that. I think the first thing, like I would always say, is that you're equal to the task. Understand that, yeah, there's a language barrier. Understand that regardless of the language barrier, you are able to make progress. And then it's also important you call the attention of maybe the lecturer or the coordinator, and try to explain that you're finding it difficult to follow because of some challenges as it relates to maybe the accent or the language or stuff like that. They would understand. I think they're really understanding here. They would understand. And you when you just get that out of the way, you try to always go and meet them. They have office hours where some things you might have missed in class, even though maybe the lecturer might have repeated it, but due to the language barrier, you maybe still didn't catch it. Go for their office hours, have one-on-one conversation. There you would be able to get more than maybe what you would have got in class because of maybe language barrier. Meet them one-on-one, send them emails. You could maybe after the course that the person has taught, you could maybe do a summary of what you understood and try to ask some questions, send an email to them and they would respond. And that way you're having a, communication with the person. They will clear you the places they think maybe you didn't catch because of such language barriers and all that. So it's also important, like I said earlier, you read before the class and so that you can always catch up.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, Sam, I think I'd have to ask you this because you're a research student. How have you been able to function as a research assistant, or how do you? Well, you might have a lot of research experience here, but someone without prior research experience, how do you think they can really function as a research assistant?
Okay, thank you for that question. So one thing I would say again is still learning. So when I first came in, most of the techniques I'm using now, I've not learned them before. So I was actually afraid, like I was feeling, how am I going to cope with all these techniques? So one thing that happened was I met a PhD student in my lab. So she was about leaving. So I had to have a short interview with her. How were you able to like learn all these things you're doing? She used a lot of techniques and she used them very well. So she told me that when she first came in from China, she did not understand anything too. And for good 2 years, she was unable to like do all these things she was doing. So then I had this mind that then there's nothing here that I cannot, like, there's nothing I can learn to. So from there, she started taking me some trainings. So she taught me all the techniques she was using, and that's how I was able to like flow with that. Until today, I'm still learning too. So I would say you should have a learning mindset too towards everything. Everything about research, everything about schooling is all about learning. Another area in my research also involved bioinformatics. So we use coding, we used to script and all these things. And I don't know Python, I don't know how to code, but I had to tell my advisor to have to complain to him that I don't know how to do this and I don't know how I'm going to apply it to my research. So he was able to help too. So an advice I also give to we graduate students is to not keep everything within. Don't feel like you can solve everything alone. That's why you have an advisor. That's why you have lab members, PhD students in your lab that you can reach out to and let them try to, train you on all these things. So I would say it's all about learning. And another thing you can do for your research experience is to try to go to Jove, Jove. So Jove is like a journal, a publication site where they only show videos of research skills. So you can get there to like learn about research techniques, especially in the medical field. So that would also help. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Samuel. Would you be able to type the name of that website in the chat box so that
Yeah, sure.
we can hold on to
I will
it
do
after
that.
the session? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Offere, do you possibly want to share anything on functioning as a research or teaching assistant? Well, research assistant here in your program field. Have you had to do that in the past 6 months?
Research, no, I haven't started research yet. I'm still touring, but yeah, I haven't done research.
Okay, so I believe you can answer the next question. You must have been building relationships with your professors, having to talk to them and all that. How have you been able to do this? Tips for us.
But I think the onus is on you to reach out because a lot of professors have like 100 things that they're handling. So you have to be proactive. You have to reach out. I think your first point of contact is usually your advisor if you have one. In fact, you would have one. If you're doing a PhD, definitely you have an advisor. If you're doing a master's, I think your school would pair you with someone and say, oh, this person that's going to be in charge of approving your program sheet and things like that. So you definitely have to reach out and say, oh, even if like you don't have any question, at least you want to know how courses are. So you're like, oh, I'm thinking of taking this course. What do you think? That kind of thing. So you definitely have to be the one reaching out and still asking them questions. And okay, that's for advisors. Then you have professors, that people who teach the classes that you're taking. So that one too, you have to be curious and like, okay, I understand this thing from class. How do we apply this? How do we? So you, like Jennifer said, I think they have office hours that you can go to and ask further questions because you have to be the one doing the work of reaching out. And the way you reach out most times is to ask questions. And they love answering questions like, oh, sure. Yeah. I'm like, oh, calm down. But yeah, they do love answering questions. And I think they also like students who ask a lot of questions. So you have to be the one like putting yourself out there, like asking them, okay, you said this in class, but how do we, or maybe I don't really understand. Could you like explain it to me? And they're always so happy to help and to explain. So you definitely have to be the one reaching out, asking questions, and what else? Yeah, so just being proactive mainly. I think that's the way you can get them to know you. Ask questions in class, ask questions out of class. And it depends on your school. So some classes have like discussion forums where students also post questions about maybe some assignments. If you can answer to, you can also help students with answering questions on the discussion platforms. That way professors too know, okay, this babe or this guy seems like a solid guy. But that's also one. And also because I was a teacher, or I am a teaching assistant, you also teach a class that a professor takes. So sometimes he might need someone to do some extra work, like, oh, okay, I know you finished grading assignment 2, but a student turning the assignment late. Is there anyone who can volunteer? Oh, yeah, sure, I can volunteer. Even you have like a ton of other things that you're doing. Oh, yeah, sure, I can volunteer. Things like that, just helping them do things that just, if they're asking for favors, just, yeah, I would do that. I can do that. I can take it on, that kind of thing. It gets you visibility, and it's something you have to gain in grad school. You have to gain visibility. People have to know you. So I think that's one thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for talking extensively about that. Cyril, you started your program last fall, and it's been sort of virtual, maybe 70% virtual and all that. Have you been able to build relationships with your professors, considering you only see them via your computer and all that? How have you been able to do this?
Yes, thank you very much. So yeah, I've quite been proactive. So there are some modules I took that I just had some kind of particular interest in, and I'd find myself emailing these professors after the class, like, so Professor X, what do you think about these new concepts coming into the industry and stuff like that? And in one very funny occasion, I mailed the professor and he was still sharing his screen. So everyone saw the mail I sent out to him. So, but yeah, I've actually been very proactive with it. And aside the after class emails, I also just do like regular follow ups on some of their online sessions that they have. Maybe one of my professors is giving a presentation somewhere, and then I attend and then come back to him with some kind of follow up questions. And I've also been asking them for some kind of advice on some career intentions, on what they think about some certain career paths. And so that's also been a way for them to really spotlight me and to, say, okay, this guy is very intentional about this aspect. And you'd find times when they might be talking about something and they'll be like, okay, Cyril has asked me this before. I mean, we're virtual, but he already knows my name. So that has also been a way I've been able to reach out to them and have built some kind of relationship with them.
Okay, great. That's very exciting. I like the part where you said you sort of attend their conferences or programs where they present or something. I think that's really intentional. So we really have to be intentional about everything in grad school. Ofre, coming back to you. So you're a teaching assistant, you've been attending classes. How have you been able to combine all of this efficiently?
I think deadlines really help me, and deadlines like help me schedule what I'm supposed to do at what time. So if I have to, okay, say, uh, yeah, let's just give an example. If let's just say Monday I have a class, an assignment due, and I have maybe office hours that day. Oh no, I try not to schedule office hours when I know I'm going to have assignments due. So let's just say I have an assignment due today and maybe office hours tomorrow. So because my assignment is due, obviously I know that I have to work on assignments today and maybe tomorrow because I know I have office hours, or grading is due because we also grade. So I think deadlines just help me. The fact that I know that, oh, this thing is due, I have to work on it. So that's what I don't really say, oh, okay, I'm going to work on X amount. But yeah, I just try to use deadlines to schedule what I have to do. And another thing I do is I have a calendar for the month, and it's not a virtual calendar because I like writing stuff down. It's a physical calendar. It's just right here by my bedside. So I plan ahead. Okay, this assignment is due this day. This is due that day. This is due that day. So it just helps me get like an overview of like my week or my day. And also every day I just have like an is it itinerary, basically things I'm supposed to do that day. From I think I write it down the night before, because before you sleep you have all this, oh, this is still undone, this is still undone, that's still. So it's like I plan my next day the night before, because I know all the things that are not done. Because if I try to plan it in the morning, then morning I'm still fresh, I'm still groggy, I'm not really sure what's up. So it's easier to plan my day the night before, and that's what I do. And I just have deadlines that really help me push and make sure work gets done. So I mean, it might not be the most effective method, but it does work for me, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, great. So deadline is some sort of motivator for you. Yeah, so I think this question has to do with time management, and we have more questions coming talking about time management, which we'll come back to. So this question is for everyone. I'll start with Jennifer. What do you think could be the most rewarding adventure or exercise a graduate student should focus on in order to excel on campus? So I think this
Um,
question is simple. Just maybe
uh,
one thing that's has been most rewarding?
I think it's I would say making connections and going for events, social events, because you just have to connect with your professors and your colleagues, your peers, and other people in the field. So, for example, if you're doing a master's and you want to get into a field, maybe you want to work with a company, and they have brought people from that company to maybe offer a session to you people. I think it's important you try to make connections with them. You go for those events, meet people. I think for me, it's basically being, attending those events, making connections with people in the field I want to work with, and, also your colleagues, then you talk to them one-on-one and try to know what's up, what they're up to, and things could just come up from there.
Okay, awesome. So making connections, attending social events and the likes. Samuel, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, yeah. I would say I don't have one answer to everyone because we are all unique, and what we want to come and do in graduate school is different. So if you know that I want to go into the academics, you need to focus more on research, try to publish, try to learn. And if you know that I want to go to the industry after graduate school, you need to start making connections, attending conferences, networking, joining associations. So, and if you know that maybe you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to start your own company, right? From when you get into graduate studies, start thinking about what you can quickly apply. So maybe in your field, you can just like, okay, which company can I come up with, even with all these things I'm learning? So you need to identify where you want to go next after graduate school, and that will determine what you're going to focus on. So if you want to go into, maybe you want to become a leader, you want to go into politics, you want to like go into leadership, you have to also think of how you can enter into this student association, join them. So if you know that you are not going towards that path, don't try to do everything at once because there are a lot of pressure here and it might actually affect you. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So basically, know what you want. What is your goal? Why are you in grad school? So that should help you determine what to get involved in. So Cyril, what would you say about this?
Yeah, so in addition to what everyone has said, I also feel like so when it comes to research and learning, it evolves over time, and you don't want to find yourself being stuck in the past. So one thing you should always try to do, to make your grad school journey very adventurous and enjoyable is you should always try to see the real life application of what you're doing. Know the current trajectory, how you can actually apply all the theory and everything, like to practicalize it, to bring it to life. Like there are some things we're doing here at Imperial that are just easily tied to some of the courses we're doing. So always try to see the connection between what is currently happening in your field and what you're doing at the moment. You don't want to be learning Fortran when everybody's using C sharp or C++. So yeah, that's one thing I would recommend.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Ofure, I'd also like to get your thoughts on this.
I think it really boils down to the people you spend time with, because there are some people that are like very focused on research and about things going on in the industry. Sometimes you want to spend time with them just to know what they're thinking, what they're doing. Some people are so much focused because I'm in Stanford and everybody is building something, is having a company. So there are some people that are just like that. They want to be building, they want to be shipping products. So it just depends on what you want to do. There are some people that are very serious, but then they take their social life very seriously too. So if you also want to explore the town, explore the location, food, everything, you also know like the kind of people. So I think it's just people, because if you're new in a place, you don't know anything, you don't know how people behave. So yeah, it's just tied to the people you hang around with, as they determine how much fun or how much experience you're going to gain on campus or in grad school.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing, guys. I mean, I think we'd have covered maybe 70% of questions that our participants probably have regarding academics. Or if there is something that you still want to ask, please just put it in the chat box. At the end, we're going to read out every question there for our panelists to respond to. So thank you so much, guys, for responding on all these questions about academics. So now we move right into the financial part. Money is important, you know. So finance in grad school. So the first question we have is, can you get extra funding when you begin your program? How? So I believe this person probably has partial funding, but even people that have fully funded offers also ask that question. Okay, do I have to continue earning that stipend? Is there a way I could get more money and all that? Please try not to annotate on the screen. Please don't touch the screen at home. Thank you. So I would start with Jennifer.
Okay. Can you get extra funding when you begin your program, and how? Yeah, you can. For Erasmus, which is almost always fully funded, everything, your flight and all that, you can always get some extra fundings if you want. You can get from maybe working as a student, part-time jobs. You can work with your universities, and also sometimes the universities offer some form of fundings to students. Like during the COVID time, there was this COVID relief funds for students. I know some Erasmus students that got it. And they have just different fundings and all that. It's for you to be able to check out. If you want to work as an Erasmus scholar, you have fully funded scholarship, but you want to make some extra cash and all that, you can work part-time. They have different places you can work. You can work as a research assistant. You can pick up any job, even virtually. There are some jobs you can do maybe as a receptionist or as an assistant to somebody virtually. So there are just loads of jobs that you can take up to get some extra cash, and universities also have some funding. So check your student website and you can find.
Okay, great, thank you. So, working extra time and all that, I believe in Europe it's legal for grad students to work and all that, yeah?
It depends on the country. I know that for the UK, it depends on the visa you have. So I know some people who came with regular visitors visa, which is 6 months, some Erasmus scholars, so you can't work with that. But if you came on a tier 4 visa like myself, you're allowed to work 20 hours per week. Yeah, I think 20 hours per week. So you have 20 hours to work, so you don't have to go over that. So, but then when you are on holiday during this period, you can work as much as you want.
Okay, great. So I really want to tell everyone to please check your visa requirements and your visa rules and all that to know whether you can work or not. You should always involve in things legally and always get involved in legal things, and that's it. So in Canada, Samuel, is there a way to get extra funding when you begin your program? How?
Okay, yeah, sure. There is a way to get extra funding. So you can apply for fellowships within the school. So when I came in, my supervisor gave me fund. So, but the funding is not that much, although it's enough for my school fees, for my upkeep, for my accommodation. But when I came in, I applied for a school scholarship. So if you're doing well in your academics, if you're doing well in your research, and you have been able to build some profiles since you came in, you can apply for this scholarship. And then when they come in, so your supervisor will now add money to that. So that's what is that's not my own situation. So I was able to get a scholarship, and then my supervisor added some money to it to increase my stipend. So another thing you can do is just like Jennifer mentioned. So there are opportunities. So in case when I wanted to change my apartment, I wrote a letter to my faculty that I need money, and then they gave me funding. So you can also try to look for information around the school. Maybe you want to get a laptop, you want to get a device, or you want to change your apartment. You can look for how you can, get funding from the school. So all these things are available in the school, but if you don't have the information to apply, you might not be able to get them. So try to expose yourself to information. That will really help. So there are a lot of opportunities when you resume. So just ensure you're searching for them. And there are a lot of scholarships too for students. So if you are collecting like maybe $20,000 per year, you can try to look for a scholarship or maybe 30K. And then if you're doing well academically, you surely get that. And then they will replace the 20K with the 30K, and then your money increase. So just have to expose yourself to information and be ready to send a lot of applications. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that. So Jennifer has sort of talked about the UK. So Syria, I'm moving on to Ofre. So Ofre, you're a teaching assistant here, and I know in the US, grad students are not allowed to work off campus. And if you're working on campus, you cannot work more than 20 hours. So is there any way to get extra funding in your program, and how?
So if you're on an assistantship that covers your tuition and living expenses, most of the time that can get you by. But if maybe you have partial funding or something, then I think you're also permitted to work on campus, but you can't work more than 20 hours. I still think there are ways to go about getting more funding, because there are always people looking for maybe some tutor or something. So yeah, like Samuel said, you have to be in the know, because most of these kind of information, they're usually word of mouth. So it's you asking questions and asking the right people questions. And you can also reach out to your program coordinator. They always have like information on things like this. So just ask. There's nothing wrong in asking, oh, is there any way to, because they will keep you in mind if there is some fellowship or something that you can benefit from, they would forward that to you. So I think this is situation based. There's no funding is situation based, and what works for someone in X school would not work for someone in Y school. So you just have to know what works in your region and how you can basically make the best of it. So basically just ask questions, really.
Okay, so being in the know is really, really important. And please, let's not forget to get involved in things that are legal. Don't forget to check your visa requirements and rules and all of that. So the next question, how do you manage your finances as a graduate student? So this is some sort of question that I really like, because personal finance is something that is very important. So as a grad student, how do you try not to live paycheck to paycheck? Cyril, what would you say about this?
Yes, so I think budgeting is very key. You don't want to yield to the pressures that being in the new environment imposes on you, and you also want to plan for those moments where maybe you're done with grad school and you need something to sustain yourself. So it's very important that if you've not started learning how to budget, that you start learning how to budget, like monthly budget, know your minimum expense, the maximum you can go. And it also helps to know like the average standard of living in the city where you're going to. So, I mean, I know London is very expensive, and before I came to London, I had already started doing some kind of estimates of what I intended to spend every month, every week. So it helps to be very, very good with your budgeting game and not to live above your means. I mean, being in a very foreign environment and having to mingle with people, you might be tempted to want to overspend, especially when you're networking. If you're networking with like you're networking with whites, Western people from the West, and they tend to go all out. When I mean go all out, they tend to be very absorbed in their networking events, their hangouts and stuff. So in order for you not to feel the pressure because you don't want to feel left out, try to also stick to a budget. So if you're going on an outing or a hangout, you could tell yourself, okay, I don't want to spend more than £30. I don't want to spend more than £50 in this month. So that's your budget for that month on your sort of hangout expenses. So it helps to be very good at your budgeting game. Faida, I think Mr. Femi wants, Dr. Femi wants to say something. Femi.
Okay. Oh, I'm not keeping my not looking at that part. Okay, Dr. Kombi. Apologies, sir. I wasn't looking at that part. Okay, you can unmute, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Fayad, and everyone. Again, thanks to all our facilitators. I just want to chip in something with respect to extra money, especially as it regards to the US. Again, the very best way to make extra money if you're a grad student in the US is through your grades. Why I say that is because if you have a good grade, and let's say, for instance, you are the best or one of the best in your department, there are several fundings or endowments that people give to the department. And it could be named as the best grad student in this particular class or courses or in the whole department. So even if you are an assistant, a graduate assistant or a teaching assistant, and you are the one that is the best graduate student or whatever, you still get this funding. So that's one sure way that I would think if you have good grades, if you get your grades high there, and just like Ofure and every other person has said, also most of this funding are from words of mouth. There are a lot of tutoring opportunity on campus, which you can just go and apply to. And most times, those ones are not under the cap of 20 hours a week. So this type of funding, but again, remember, as a US student visa holder, you cannot walk out of the campus. Please, guys. Again, I also always advise, even the on-campus work, in your first year, try as much as possible, focus on your program, build up your GPA, build up your education. Because when you are involved with teaching 20 hours, you are taking classes, and you have all these extra things you want to do, like making money, those might be a distraction. So, but like every other panelist has said, if you're on a student, a teaching assistant or graduate assistantship, that should be enough for you to go by. It's even more than enough, provided you are not being subjected to all this pressure from your friends and family back home that, hey, you are making a lot of money, you should be sending them money. But if you stick to your resources, the money you are making, you should be good, especially that first year. Thank you.
Okay, wow, thank you so much for sharing that, sir. Like you have said, please let's keep things legal. Check your visa requirements and rules and everything about work. So I'm just going to ask Jennifer to respond to managing finances and move on to the next question. So we manage time effectively.
Oh, okay. Managing your finance. I think Okay. I think it's important, like Siri has said, you budget, make your budget and all that. But at the same time, I think it's important for those people on, scholarship and all that, you are actually paid to study. So don't have it in mind that you want to save so much. You want to build mansion in Nigeria, so you want to save everything, and then and then you will not go and flex, and then you will not go and have fun with your colleagues, and then you will not go and live in a place that it's not worthy of the scholarship they've offered to you. Please, as much as possible, make your budget, try to save, but please, it's important you get a good place to stay, because the cold will catch you here if you come and there's no heating. So please, budget, get a good place to stay, a good accommodation, make your budget. Like for me, what I usually do is that I have my budget for my rent and all that, and I make space for what I would have to buy my food for the month and stuff like that. And I set aside some money for eat out, because it's important. Sometimes you just step out and buy things, and the money you're going to save, you set out that also. So I think it's really important. Please don't oversave. You want to send money back home, you want to build mansion, and don't go oversave and then now go and stay in somewhere that is not befitting of the scholarship they gave to you, not even befitting for you to stay. Stay in a comfortable place, because if you stay in a place that cold catch you, you won't even have the strength to read. In fact, you won't be the right. I have to emphasize this, but please, spend it well as you should. Save something, yes, but don't overdo it. Not overdo it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Please, let's try to, yes, save, but let's try to save wisely, not save and then be hungry and be living like and to also have to managing your finances. It will be good to budget, like Cyril has said, and one way to do that is to divide your expenses into needs, wants, savings, and emergencies, and then you um, sort of use percentages to know how much of my income do I want to allocate to my needs, to my wants, to savings and emergencies. So you're able to sort of budget effectively and also live a good life, you know. So how do I go about getting funding to accommodate my deficit? Samuel, do you, I think everyone here is on a fully funded program, but I'm sure we have friends that are probably facing this. So how do you think they've been able to do this?
Okay, thank you very much. So, I think number one, Jennifer made a good point earlier on you trying to like plan your funding. So normally the money you're receiving per month here should be enough for you to take care of yourself. So in case maybe you want to what's it called? Maybe the funding you're now having is not enough to maybe pay for your school fees or something, then there are opportunities where you have to just reach out to people. So I have a personal experience myself, which I would love to share. So when I came in here, so then I had to like borrow some money from Nigeria to pay for my flight and the likes. So when I got in, the funding I was receiving was not enough to pay for my school fees, because I do pay for school fees from my funding, and also to clear the money I want to pay in Nigeria. So it was quite it was somehow for me then. But one thing that helped me was the kind of community I have here. So don't stay alone, don't isolate yourself. Try to look for people, try to look for Nigerians, try to build a community. So I had to reach out to people, friends, and tell them, wow, this is the issue I'm having. I need to clear this fund and I need to pay for my school fees. So from there, they were able to give me some advice, and some of them even tried to like borrow me some money to clear. And thankfully then God was able to give me like a scholarship to actually clear everything. So try to reach out to people, don't stay alone, and also engage your advisor. You understand? So if you're connected to an advisor who is paying you, try to explain things to them, let them know what you're passing through. So maybe, as I said earlier, when I wanted to move, change to a new apartment, I had to mail the school I want to change apartment and I need funding for that. So release yourself. Don't try to do everything alone. Like, you have the power. This place, you are the only one. You don't have your family members. You don't have anyone here. So you need to leverage on every community and every opportunity you have. And if you are collecting scholarship from an external body too, you can try to explain to them when you have, hard issues, and then they will be able to provide something for you. So just try to be in a community where you can seek help, look out for help, and don't try to take everything in yourself. Thank you.
So I'm glad you've mentioned community, because there's a question, we'll get to that part, that says, how do you identify your community? So the next question is also about extra cash. And I think we've said a lot about that. So finance is very important. Budgeting as a grad student is very important. Someone has shared the budget plan for us. Savings, your needs, your wants, your savings, emergencies. For your needs, wants, savings, it could be 50 needs 50%, wants 30%, savings 20%. You could start with that and sort of start modifying it to suit your person, something like that. So we move right to the next bucket here, and which is about housing. So a lot of people have questions about getting accommodation, and all that. So the first one is, did you get accommodation before leaving Nigeria? And I guess this person is probably asking, did you even pay before leaving Nigeria? Did you pay for your accommodation over there? No one wants to fall for scam and all that. So Ofuri, what was it like for you when you were leaving?
So I had accommodation on campus because Stanford has like enough apartments to accommodate graduate students. So I already got accommodation on campus before leaving. But I know about 2 or 3 friends who had to search for their accommodation, and I would probably just use their experience. I know one of them had to use, or both of them had to use like Facebook Marketplace to look for, was it Facebook Market? I think it was Facebook Market, to look for um, uh, apartments, because people be leasing their apartments. And so they had to do that, chat with the people who were trying to get leads, maybe look them up on LinkedIn, basically just look them up to know that they were genuine. And it's very possible that you fall into scam, but I don't know, I can't say how high or how low the probability is, but I know that my friends got apartments before leaving, because if you don't have anybody in the US, you need someone or somewhere to stay when you arrive, except you have someone. And even if you have someone, how long do you want to stay with that person until maybe it's not convenient for both of you again? So I think it's best to get accommodation before leaving. If you know anyone, and that's why it's really important to reach out to people. If you know anyone in this school, you can always like reach out to them and say, even if you don't know them, you can just reach out. People are always like willing to help. Say that, oh, okay, I'm looking for accommodation. I'm coming to this school. I don't know if you can help. Most times they have people, they have friends who are graduating, who are moving out, and they can always connect you. So that's why I keep on saying that, well, people is important, because you can't be an island. You can't be an island in this place. You really need people. So if you're going to a new place, who are the Nigerians? Look them up on LinkedIn, reach out to them. People will help you. And because you don't know who is calm over the internet, but if you have someone endorsing and saying, oh, okay, this friend of mine lived here, she can connect you with the agent, or I don't know how housing goes in your particular state, but just reach out to people and they would always be willing to help.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for sharing that. Facebook Marketplace, I've heard, is a very, very great place to
Yeah, very
find
resourceful.
housing needs and all that, very resourceful. And I think some universities also have their community Facebook groups or something where people also share subleases, leases, and all that. So Jennifer, considering you're touring Europe, sorry, I'm using the word touring because I feel Erasmus, you guys are touring Europe, you know. What's accommodation like for you?
Um, our program suggested some private student housing, but they were quite expensive. And so, my friend who was on another program advised me, Jennifer, this is too expensive. We'll have to save money. And so I went with that. We need to save money. We can't go and spend everything on accommodation. And because I was looking so much for, a cheaper one and other, I didn't have accommodation as at the time I left Nigeria. And so since I had cash on me, and as a Port Harcourt girl, I'm like, oh, Dinah, that we're going there. I can't, what's the worst that can happen? And so I got here on that same day. I was already communicating. When I was in Ethiopia, I was already communicating with the landlady and all that. She said, okay, no wahala, I should get here. She gave me the address and I even lost my way. Or in fact, the driver dropped me in a different place and a whole lot of bobo tibo. But Aisha arrived and got to the place, and well, it was not exactly what I wanted. And so I just stayed there for 2 months or so, and then I left to a better one. And but then I would say, just like Ofria stated, reach out to other people, like those on Erasmus. I told them already, I said, people should check for places. And as at the time I'm here in Glasgow, I would help people look at the places and, do the viewings and all that for people. And so basically that's it. So if your program suggests, if you're on Erasmus or maybe any other program, and they suggest some housings for you, please go ahead with them. Okay, if you have the funding, go ahead with it. And also, I saw that some Erasmus students were offered student accommodation, the university student accommodation, while on the website of the university, they said they do not offer one semester. But then I didn't email them to find out, and a whole lot of that. So what I would also say is always, reach out to the university accommodation, especially for Erasmus that you're just staying one semester. Reach out to them. They could just have an option for you. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Samuel, how do you know when a rent is too expensive?
Wow, that's a nice question because I was in that position like last month, trying to look for a new apartment. So there are a lot of sites where you can check for housing here, and in Winnipeg, yeah, there are different kind of housing. So you have studio, you have 1 bedroom, you have 2 bedroom, and if you want to rent the whole house too, like duplex, we have that too. So as a student, I know that my capacity cannot be more than a bedroom. So when I got into, there are different sites, so you can go on Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace. There are a lot of sites. There's Zoom Part 2 here. So when I think it took me like a month to actually search for apartment because I'm at the College of Medicine here, and it is in downtown. So in downtown, there are a lot of security issues. So I had to look for a place where I will be safe, a place where I will not be maybe carrying knife or gun around to work. So that took me quite a lot of time. So on the site, to be able to see different housing, and there is range. So if you have between $700 to $800, we have between $800 to $900, and the more the money, the more the offer you're going to see. Maybe there are some house with indoor in-suit washing machine. There are some house where you don't pay for electricity. So you have to look at the apartment you want to that suit, what you want. So from there, you'll be able to know. So it depends on what you want. So if you want an apartment of $2,000, we have them. If you have an apartment of $600, they're available. But one thing that Jennifer said I want you to all to take in mind is don't, because you want to save money, don't go and stay in a place where you will suffer. Try to look for a very good apartment that will be conducive for learning, that will be conducive, that you can bring people to come and visit you, not a studio where you are sleeping on the floor. That's very bad. So try to live very nice here. So it's just about doing all your research too and asking questions. Please ask a lot of questions too. You don't. I just feel like 6 months. I have people that have used like 5 years, 10 years here already. So ask them question: where should I stay? How much should I pay? So they might even tell you that if that $700 is too much, that you can still get the house of $600. So the $600 I'm mentioning is per month, not per year. So you pay like $700 per month, not per year. Thank you very much.
Yes. So in these places, they actually pay their rent per month, not per year like in Nigeria. So the final question, Cyril, considering you're staying in London, yeah, and I would think London is expensive, So do you have any tip to securing an affordable accommodation?
Oh, yes. One thing I would say is if you're coming to the UK, you should really shine your eyes, like even from Nigeria. You should be very, very careful. And I usually advise people to stay away from leases, like 1 year leases, 15-month leases. Stay away from leases because sometimes when you like pre-book in Nigeria, you can come over here and then you see the accommodation and it's not what you actually wanted. And because it's a lease, you're tied to that contract. And in most cases, you can't break it. So be careful of leases, guys. Stay away from leases. So it's better you just find something temporary. Maybe you just want some the place you can stay for about a month. So in my case, when I quarantined here in the UK, I stayed at something like a studio for about 2 weeks, and it gave me ample time to really plot my next move. And I had like enough time to really scout around. Although I couldn't go, but I had enough time to really scout around, ask questions, the best places for me to stay, and also because I was learning virtually, so I didn't really have to be very close to school. So I could stay quite far from school, but still in London and still get some of the basic, like, not living in Spartan conditions, but get some of the essentials in my accommodation. So I would recommend you shine your eyes. And there are some sites I did come across when I was looking for accommodation. I'll type them in the chat. So one of
Okay,
them
thank
is
you.
Rightmove, rightmove.co.uk. Another one is spareroom.co.uk. And then there's another thing again you have to be careful of. There's this thing called deposits. Like before you get an accommodation, you have to pay like a very huge deposit. Sometimes it's even more than the rent. So be careful of those kind of houses where your deposit is like more than your rent. If you can find houses where you don't even have to pay deposits or where they're like very small, it's better for you because if there are like some kind of damages to the property, you don't want to lose that sum of money because you paid much more than your rent for a deposit. So yeah, do shine your eyes, be careful of leases. And if you have someone already in the UK who can like check out some places for you because they are there, they can, see the floors and everything. So throughout my time in the UK, I've changed accommodation twice. The first place I quarantined at, and then I moved to a place quite close to school. And then last 2 months I moved to another place. So I've stayed in like 3 places in London right now. So yeah, be very careful when it comes to getting
Okay.
accommodation in the UK. So I'll just type
Wow,
the
thank you.
links in the chat.
Okay, yeah. Please do that. Thank you so much for telling us to shine our eyes. So everyone, please shine your eyes because in some places you have to sign leases like a year is like an agreement, and some of those documents I've seen they're as much as 30 pages, and you'll be like 30 pages. Can't read all of this. Please read every single line. You don't want to get into something you cannot handle. So it is very important to shine your eyes very well. So and also consider security in any area you want to stay because it is very important. You don't want to be thinking about should I be carrying pepper spray when I'm moving around or something like that. So thank you so much guys for talking about housing and all that. I believe we've covered a lot. So we'll move to the next bucket. Um, Yes, social and networking. But before we start, Dr. Akombi would like to chip in something. You can speak, sir.
Just a quick one regarding the accommodation. Again, for people who are heading to the US, again, this is my own personal preference. I will advise that you first consider staying on campus, especially for your first year, if that option is available. Fayed has said something about security. You see, the issue with some of these off-campus apartments is the fact that, one, you don't even know the neighborhood, and that's very important. The second thing is the fact that how do you commute from that place to your school? Usually, you might think you have a friend who's going to give you a ride, but guess what? You cannot make your plan or your life dependent on somebody. And that's why I always say, if there's an option for on-campus apartment, go for it. The other thing with on-campus apartment, usually you don't have the issue of you have to put a deposit or you have to get into paying bills. Most times, everything is it comes with your bills, everything comes with it. So there are so many advantages with all campus. Yes, some people want to be away so that they can have social life. I get that. But I will always advise, especially for your first year or first semester, if you have the option of staying on campus, please go for it. Security is very important. Another good thing about on-campus apartment is most times when you are new to a school, you somehow spend some of your time in the library. Most of these libraries are open 24 hours, some closes at 2 a.m. If you are studying at 2 a.m. and you want to go back to your apartment, if you leave off campus, it's going to be very difficult for you to be walking on the street at 1 a.m. But rather, if you are staying on campus, it could probably take you less than 2 minutes or 2 blocks to walk back to your dorm or to your apartment. So again, that's my own preference. I always give this advice. If you are new in a place, don't overshoot your whatever. I mean, try as much as possible to first consider staying on campus.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, sir. So we'll move right into the next bucket, social and networking. So we don't want to just be a nerd and be studying and not have like a balanced life or something. So, Ofre, how do you think we can maintain a balanced social and academic life, as well as with our families back here in Nigeria?
Sorry, what do you mean by family back here in Nigeria?
So I think this person is probably saying how to still maintain relationship with our friends who we left in Nigeria, and then maybe our families too and all that.
Yeah. So for me, at least the way I work with family is I think I just set aside weekends. I know that okay, I have to catch up with family during the weekend. But there are sometimes I'm just feeling like super lonely and I want to talk to someone and I just call my mom during the week. So it's not sometimes it's not really something you plan. It's just oh the feeling comes and you just want to talk to someone and you know like a friend from Nigeria who would be the best person to talk to or yeah, it's just you have to also be intentional about it, intentional about keeping those relationships because it's easy to get caught up with everything that is going on here. So it's just something, oh yeah, I need to call mom or oh I need to call Chiamaka or I need to call someone. So you just have to yeah, be intentional about keeping those relationships. And for social life, I think for me, the weekends are more or less fine. There's usually so much work to do and it spills into the weekend. But sometimes like on Saturday, I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to go out. I need to, and it helps when you, because we've been virtual for the past 6 months. So there are people in your class that maybe you've been working with or you've been doing some group assignments with, and you're like, oh, we should catch up. So it's easy for you to say, oh, we should catch up. And that catch up never happens. Oh, we should catch up. When are you free? You know, Saturday, does Saturday work for you? You know, that kind of thing. So you have to be intentional about meeting people and just when you say catch up, set a date to it because you can always just stay in work and do everything you have to do and be indoors. It's very possible to be indoors for 7 days, not go outside, not even leave your apartment. But if you schedule time and say, okay, Saturday afternoon, 2 hours, I want to go and see Brian, I want to go and see this person, it makes a lot of sense to do that. And also family. I think weekends is just the time that I used to catch up with people and sometimes during the week too, because it's not, some days are less busy than some days. So you just, oh, okay, I should call my mom, I should call my dad, I should call this friend from Nigeria, I should go and see this person on campus, or oh, there's this party, can I go? Yes, I think I can go. Like last night, I mean, I went out. It was fun. But yeah, so you just have to be intentional about things like that. Mhm.
Okay, so being intentional is really important. Samuel, I'd like to get your thoughts on how you've been able to maintain a balanced social and academic life.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So that have not been easy though, due to the COVID-19 stuff. So we've been under restriction for a while. I think till like early this month, we're still under restriction. But one thing I try to do is to join a community, as I said. So yeah, I attend a church, and most of the people in the church are actually Nigerians. So from there, I get to visit people, go around. And another thing I tried to do was to join a football team. So from joining a football team, I get to meet people also, connect with a lot of people, guys like me, and that have been able to help. And one thing I also do is I try to reward myself because there's a lot of work. So you go to school at 9 a.m., you come back by 6 p.m. That's, the day is just filled with stress or true. So at night, at times, I just try to go on Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, just to watch a movie. And another thing is to call friends too. So you just have to like sit down and plan your time, create a time for yourself. So create a time for yourself. There are a lot of things that will be calling your attention when you're here, but try to like find that time for yourself to do what you love. So also you can try to like develop an hobby. So for me, I had to pick photography. So at times I just like go to nice places and take pictures upload them on my Instagram page. So just try to create an hobby for yourself, and then from there be able to like balance everything, because work-life balance is a little bit hard in graduate school. We just have to be deliberate about it. So don't just be in school all through. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing extensively on that. So time management is key, very, very important. So please let's try to plan our time once we get there. We might not have it figured out right now, but after a month or two, you'd know how you want to be spending your time. So Jennifer, I think you'd be able to take this. Beyond academics, was there ample time, or is there, since you're still there, ample time to enjoy the beautiful cities of Europe?
Yeah, there was actually ample time for um coming here. I was mostly always indoors and always staying on my own and all that, but that had to change by fire by force, because I don't understand what I would always be doing indoors. Ordinarily I just like to stay indoors, but seeing my colleagues visit different places and all that, I had to. And also I had to go out because the place is beautiful. And, sometimes we had got invites. There was a particular time we got invite from our program coordinator in Dublin to, hang out with him and all that. So I have to take it. You know what it means? Because I felt like this is a big deal for me. That was the way I felt. My program coordinator said I should come. I had to, and we hung out for a couple of hours, had conversations, went to places. There were times where we had to book tickets, long ride, just to visit a certain place with my colleagues. We had to travel because it's important that if I visit a place, I don't just stay inside, even though that's what I do most of the time, stay indoors. But sometimes it's important that I see some of the places, especially popular places like Dublin gallery, art gallery or something, that's what they call it. It's important that I go and visit those places. At least I have memories of the place. I was in Dublin. I have something to show for it. It's not I was in Dublin, I was inside my house. So I had something to show for it, and visit some of the places. And it's important to do that. And it's also a way to, just, remove all the things that you're thinking about. The pressure is just so much. It's a way to do that and have other conversations apart from your book.
Yes, I get that. Thank you so much for really, really talking extensively about that. So, because we're running out of time, it might seem like we're trying to um, keep our responses to 1 minute or something. So, Cyril, you started your program last year virtually and all that, COVID, you've been indoors, but still, I think have you been able to enjoy the beautiful cities in the UK?
Oh, sorry, Fahida, I didn't get your question. The same
Okay,
question. Is
so
it the same question?
yeah, the same question. So, have you been able, considering you've been indoor since you started your program, I believe the lockdown has been relaxed, and then you're in the UK. If I were in the UK, first place I want to visit is the Emirates Stadium. So, for you, have you been able to probably visit some beautiful places in your location and all that?
Okay, so I have to issue out a disclaimer. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I have no business visiting the Emirates Stadium. I'm actually a Man U fan. Yeah, but so ample time. It's something I've not really had. Um, so it's just a back to back something. Even after our first semester, the 3 or 4 weeks we had, the 3 or 4 weeks break we had then was actually to prepare for our exams in January. So after our exams in January, the next week was now like a 3 month long field development project. So apart from a couple of times where I just had to intentionally go out on weekends with my classmates to just see some places around and stuff like that. But yeah, I do have planned trips. I want to see some games. Like season is coming up, so I want to see some live Manchester United games. And I'm still in the UK for now, so yes, I do have planned trips. I'll visit Old Trafford, no other stadium. Even though Chelsea, Stamford Bridge is just here, but because I just yeah. So let me not digress. So yeah, I do have some planned trips.
Please try and visit
Okay.
Chelsea, Stamford Bridge for me.
All right, yes. So we'll still try to keep our responses to 1 minute so we can manage time and all that. So this next question is for everyone. I'm sure everyone, we need to network, we need to connect with people. How do we do this? Sure, you have tips for us. So I'll start with Samuel. How can we build our network in grad school?
Okay, let me quickly rush that due to time. So, number one, attend events. So, any event you see, any conference, try ensure you register for them. There are a lot of people you are going to meet from different parts of the world. So, attend events a lot. So, conferences. Yeah. Another thing is to make use of your LinkedIn and your social media. So once you get a scholarship, like a prestigious scholarship like Erasmus, Chevening, or Commonwealth, you already have a good profile. So try to leverage on that to reach out to people. Try to leverage on that. Another thing is don't focus alone on academics in school. Don't just like everything is research, research. No, try to do other things outside academics. So maybe there is a conference in school, try to look for how to volunteer for the conference. If there's any maybe project going on, any organization around your school, you can try to see how you can volunteer for these organizations. So from there, you tend to build your CV, meet new people. So just ensure you open all your eyes to opportunities flowing around. So from there, you'll be able to meet new people and then develop your network. And lastly, also talk to your advisor. Let your advisor introduce them to their own network. So my advisor, for instance, I've been training students for more than 20 years. So he has professors, he has students, in different places in the world. So you can just ask him that, hi, prof, can you just introduce me to, your network? So from there, you'll be able to meet, different kinds of people. So just try to open your eyes and look for opportunities. Thank you.
Okay, great. Ofure, how can we build our network in grad school?
I think you can start with like people in your class. At least that's one sure way, because you guys are having similar interests, you're taking the same class. So because most of these guys, they know a lot of people, and if they've probably been in the system for a long time, and some of them are natives of that particular area. So you want to start with friends in your class or people in your class. Just talk to them. If they invite you somewhere you want to go, at least even if you're not going to spend time, just honor the invitation. Because from there you don't know who you're going to meet, what kind of conversations you're going to have. And I think that has at least helped me to an extent. I think a month back, a friend invited me. She said her professor was having some get together and I should go. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not even in your field. I'm not even, because she's in, I think, energy and gas or something. So she's like, I should go. I went there for the picnic and then started talking to someone from Google, and he's like, oh, okay, if I need a referral, he can always help me out. Another person invited me to church. And I mean, since I got here, I've not really had, I think because of lockdown and everything, but I just decided to honor the invitation, go to her church. I went there and saw someone, like an old friend from like 8 years back in Nigeria, and then he works at Google, and then he offered to give me a referral, offered to like help me prepare for the interview, offered to give me resources, offered to even teach me how to drive. So just from going to church. So those things, just going, when people invite you somewhere, just going, it helps.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So Jennifer and Cyril, I'd like you to also give us some tips on this, but it would appreciate you keeping it to 1 minute so that we can take as many questions as possible. So Jennifer, you can go first.
On the same question, or?
Yeah, the same question, building your network in grad school.
Oh, I think it's basically, what Ofura has said. connect with your colleagues, your professors, especially the ones you have maybe a research interest in what they are teaching, their particular niche. You need to, get to connect with them. And if you can also maybe volunteer, take up positions and all that. Like at the moment, I work with, the Erasmus Mundus Association, and during the period we were just organizing some events. I had an event yesterday where we had about 95 students, incoming students and all that. So that gave me opportunity. We've been interacting with the coordinators of all the Erasmus programs at the University of Glasgow. So I'm able to talk with them, and they're really nice. One even called me on video call, and we're talking, and we're also planning future events. So sometimes you maybe take up volunteering opportunities or stuff like that, just little by little, attend events, just like what the others have said, attend events, offer to help out with one or two things, and just small like that.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Syria, in 1 minute, give us some tips to build our network.
Yeah, so there's something I want to say. So this building a network thing, it starts with the mindset. So as a grad student, you're a professional. So you should think in that you're a professional. You are either venturing into mainstream research or going into the industry. So that undergraduate spirit that most grad students usually have, or I should say students from Nigeria usually have, should not be something you bring along with you. You're meeting people, you're learning in the same class with people with over 10 years of experience, 15 years experience. So try as much as you can to put yourself out there. Don't don't claim you know it all. Ask a lot of questions, because when people see that you're somewhat vulnerable to receive knowledge, they'll be open to want to get closer to you and to teach you more things. For example, like there are some people in my class, just because I have this kind of, I'm somewhat free with them and everything, I'm somewhat vulnerable as well. They've taught me a lot of things on how to navigate some career paths, how to network with some people in industry, so stuff like that. So yeah, reorient your mind and act like a professional. It will help with the networking.
Thank you so much.
Farida.
Mindset orientation is important. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, guys. I have to hop up to another meeting, but could you give me 1 minute just to add to what everybody has said regarding networking?
Okay, yes, sir.
Yes. Again, thanks everyone for your comments. And basically everything everyone has said, our panelists actually nailed it all in terms of networking. And like everyone said, I think you have to start from your department, create relationship with your colleagues. And one thing I found out is that relationship goes even beyond the academics. I've seen scholars, students who are having issues with their classes, but because this relationship with their colleagues, maybe go out to bowl or to play soccer or even go out on happy hour. I've shared it before. If your colleagues, if they ask you to go on an happy hour, and if you don't drink, get there and order a bottle of Coke, get a Sprite, but create that relationship with them. The other things I wanted to add is the fact that you don't have to go out and every time. Sometimes we are in a diversified environment. Invite your colleague to your apartment, make fufu, make dodo, jollof rice. I mean, it may sound funny. I've shared it with some of you guys as scholars. I got my first job from a guy, a white dude who used to come to my apartment to eat fufu and dodo. We drink beer, we hang out, everything. This guy left school a year before I did. And I didn't hear from him until after a year. He just called me from nowhere and said, Femi, where are you? I told him I'm in Houston. He said, oh, come on. My job is looking for an engineer, a consultant. I sent my resume to him. Within 2 days, they called me. Guess what? I went to this interview. They didn't ask me a question. The only question they asked me was, how much do I want to earn? It was because of this guy. We used to come to my room, apartment with his friend. We hang out. That's the networking. There are so many Chinese. Invite them over. Go to their room. Do potlucks. Potlucks is where everybody bring the food from their own country. You find out that the relationship you create there, it will go beyond your academics. When you leave school, some of these guys, they will be there, they will know your number, they will call you, they will remember you as somebody to work with. So again, there's several ways you can network with people. And please, guys, is one of the most important things. Don't make it about books. Go out, have fun, play volleyball, play soccer, go bowling, go for happy hour, order Sprite. If you drink beer, drink one bottle, don't drink too much. Guys, it's this part of the world, like everybody has said, you can't do it all alone. Open your minds to people. Don't be the mindset we have in Nigeria when you know something, you don't want your friend to know so that it doesn't get A. Forget about all those, I don't want to use the word, all those, whatever. Relate with people, talk with them, share with them. Their A will not demand or will not degrade your own A. But you find out that what you're going to gain from them is going to be, you can't quantify it. Again, guys, I wish you guys all the best. Sorry, I have to leave now. I have another meeting to open. Thanks.
No problem, sir. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, on a lighter note, if you don't know how to make fufu, please go and learn how to make fufu now. Okay. But yeah, power of networking. You can network in any way. And I think something we should add, which I've heard about, is whenever you're invited to an event or something, you should always go with a gift, no matter how small. And also, if you're invited to maybe a restaurant or something, please hold your money. Like, plan to pay, even like just hold your money and order according to your pocket. So all of these are very important tips that I've been learning and all that. So the last question is also something that I believe we've responded to. It's also part of networking and all. So I think we'll move on to the final bucket, which is generally about life. So about life, can you move to the next slide, please? So once we're done with this part, I can see a lot of us have questions in the chat box, and people watching us on YouTube, you also have questions. I'll be sure to read them out for our panelists to respond to. So about life, the first question is how to properly manage your time in grad school. I think we've really talked about that already. The next question, please. Okay, so kindly give tips on what scholars should do or avoid doing to prevent against mental health issues while in grad school abroad. So Samuel, I'd like you to give your thoughts on this in 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is a very, very important question because mental health issue is a big problem here in graduate school. You're studying in a place where you don't, know anybody, and most of the things you are doing are even at times might look beyond your capacity. So one thing I would love you to do is to try to or one thing I do is to try to access myself to know how I'm truly feeling. So there are days where I just feel down, where things are not working. So all I just try to do is to leave what I'm doing and try to look for a place to rest. So the stress is much, and then you're just trying everything and things are not working. So take a step out and try to rest. So another thing that would help in preventing against mental health is to try to, like as I said, be in a community, engage people, move around with people. And another thing that can also help is to also look for help. So in our universities here, there are a lot of organizations that actually work on mental health. So try to send a mail to your international graduate school, like this is how you're feeling and you would like to meet with a mental health counselor. So there are a lot of help that are available. So all you just need to do is understand yourself, try to look for help, and don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. Try to, as much as possible, get out of pressure. So anytime you're feeling different, anytime you're feeling somehow, get out of what you're doing, try to rest and then try to come back to it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Samuel. Jennifer, quickly in 1 minute, how do you think we can manage our mental health?
Okay, so I would say that maybe you should try as much as possible not to always be alone, just like how Samuel have stated. And then another thing is if you have a family, like if you're married, try to come with them. It will try as much as possible to keep you balanced and stuff like that. So try to always be in a community if you have family in Nigeria. And I think some countries would allow you to come with your family. You can come with them. It's a good way to stay uptight and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Ofre, so far, how have you been? Well, I'm not saying you've had mental health issues, but have you been able to manage all of this? And do you have tips for us?
I think mainly I just try to take some time off, probably during the weekend or a day during the week where I'm not like super busy. Just take some time off and yeah, not do anything, like do self-care basically, maybe watch a movie, read something from all the publications that I am subscribed to. Just it's like detoxing, just like let it all out. But or sometimes talk to people. It helps to know that you're not the only one going through stuff. So sometimes when you talk to, like I have a couple of Nigerians that I just talk to here. So when you know that you're not the only one going through stuff, it helps to know that, okay, you're not the only one in this situation. So take time for yourself, talk to people. And I think it depends on your school. I think our school has resources that you can always lean into or lean on when you need their services, so you can take advantage of them if it's like really getting to you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. So, Cyril, quickly, because this is quite a sensitive issue, so it'd be good for us to hear from everyone. So, what tips do you have for us?
Yeah, so there's actually a dedicated department here at Imperial that handles mental health issues, and it stems down to every department under every faculty. So it's actually a very serious issue, and I usually advise people, you know, grad school is very engaging. It's like a war zone and everything, but try not to lose touch of reality. If you must speak with someone, make sure you speak to someone. Don't try to like over ginger yourself, and don't try to be too absorbed in your work that you start to see letters when you're walking on the road. That's a digressing though. And then something else that helps is like there's no harm if you can just go to YouTube or Instagram and take a laugh. Laughter is the best medicine. It helps. It just helps to unwind a lot of muscles in your brain, and just makes you see clearly and eases things out for you. So another thing you could I don't know, another thing you could also do is to try to extend some of your stress levels to maybe learning something handy. You could start learning a musical instrument or anything, anything that helps generally, but it's a very serious issue that you have to be careful of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. So self-care is important. So find something that gives you joy and sort of helps you detox, like Ofrea said. So culture shock in the new environment. I think this is something we cannot avoid at all. So Ofre, when you got to Stanford, what was like the very first culture shock you had, and how did you manage it? Or how have you been able to manage it over time?
I think, well, there were a lot, to be honest. Where do I even start from? I think, at least academic wise, people ask questions a whole lot. Sometimes I'm like, huh? Like you have people asking so many questions. And sometimes it's like, how do you guys even think about these questions to ask? How did this come to mind? But when you dig deeper, you find that these people are really curious about, like, it's like whatever I'm doing, I'm going to do it to 100. Like, I'm going to put all my 100 into it. So you find that if you're taking a course, they're really into the course, they want to know everything about it. And then you're just asking questions. And professors are like super nice. Like, they're just willing to, they're happy to answer things, they're happy to put you on the right track, they're just happy to teach you and make you learn. So that was something I had to kind of get used to, asking questions. And yeah, so far it hasn't failed me.
That's good. Samuel, so tell us one culture shock you faced and how you've managed it over time in
Oh,
Canada.
okay, yeah, thank you. Number one, people in Canada, they like talking and laughing a lot. So when I came in, I went to the bank and there was this woman, she was just telling me about her children. I was like, "Ah, what was my own concern with all this matter?" But it was so funny and I just have to flow with with her. So yeah, they are very nice. And another challenge I have, just to add, is between me and my advisor. So in Nigeria, most times when we say yeah, maybe someone is talking and I say, okay, okay, yes, yes. The meaning is that keep on talking. But here in Canada, if you keep on saying yes, it means you already understand everything the person is saying, so they will not talk to you again. So me and my advisor, we've had challenge, like a lot of challenges with that. So at times when I just say yes, you just stop talking, and I still need to learn more. I'm just saying that I'm getting what you're saying. So that's a bit challenging too. So all I just try to do is to reframe my mind to try to understand how they do it and how they live and their conversations. So there are some things they say that might make you feel like that might make you feel somehow. We just need to try to understand their own language and try to relate with them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So if I keep saying yes, yes now, you're just gonna stop talking. Oh wow. Okay, so Jennifer, you've been touring Europe, yes. So I believe you've well maybe had a lot of culture shocks and all, but could you just share one or two and how you managed it over time?
Um, the one I actually want to share, I wouldn't say is that much of a culture shock, even though I knew about it before getting to Nigeria. But I would say that it still bothers me up until this day. So back in Nigeria, if I invite my friends, I'm like, babes, let's go out, let's go and hang out. That means I'm paying for it. Just carry your bag and come and join me where I am. Don't bother about the bills. I'm going to pay for it. So coming here, it still bothers me. People will be like, let's hang out. Can you come and meet me here? And then I know that I'm going there to go and pay. So it still bothers me being that if I invite you, I always like, back home, just so that I'm going to pay. So it kind of still bothers me a little bit, but not anymore. Then another thing I had that was always a challenge to me was I was always converting currency anytime I wanted to pay for food. So the first time I hung out with my colleagues, please, I'll tell you, don't convert money, don't try it. I hung out with my colleagues and, we ate so much. And I think we paid about, how much was it? Was it 40 pound or 50 pound? I can't really remember. And we were just three, I think so. And so by the time we divided the money after everything eaten, in my head, I was already calculating it into naira. I was, changing it. And in my head, I'm like, can you imagine? Do you imagine how many thousand I just ate just by sitting here? The food not even belly full myself. So it was really crazy. And I kept doing that and doing that until one of my friends told me, said, see, if you keep doing that, you're not going to go out. You're not going to buy anything. So better forget that anything you're going to pay anything, just forget about the Nigerian currency. Because if you keep doing that, trust me, you're not going to hang out with friends and all that because you'll be thinking a million and one things you want to do with that money if you convert it to Naira. So that's just basically what I would share.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Please, let's try not to like convert too much because I don't even, she has said a lot about that already. So Cyril, could you tell us one and how you've managed it so far?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys remember Osofia in London. like literally most of what he faced, in terms of morality. So let me reduce my voice now. So Nigeria is a very, like, Nigeria, there are some things we don't really do outside, but over here in the UK, you just have to learn to mind your business, essentially. So yeah, I see a lot of things and I can't avoid seeing those things, but I just have to learn to mind my business. It's not like that in Nigeria. If you do that in Nigeria, market women are going to round you up and probably start, you know how they do it in Nigeria and in marketplaces. But over here, you have to learn to mind your business. And then one more thing, I noticed that whenever I hang out with my classmates or just some of my friends I meet here, they have a lot of energy to stay out for much longer. So you just scheduled to hang out with them for like 4 hours. They can stay for like 10 hours and 11 hours. And if you attempt to leave, they start seeing you as a bad person, that, oh no, he's not feeling, all those kind of things. So you want to learn how to still, not allow yourself to just fall into the culture, still behave like the Romans a bit, but know yourself. Know yourself for yourself. It's very important so that you don't fall back on some of the things you're supposed to do. Yeah, so that's it.
Great. I also like you to respond to the next question very quickly. Is it advisable to combine work with grad school?
Okay, so in the UK, it's not advisable in the UK for some programs because you're learning back to back 6 hours every day, Monday to Friday. The little time you have, you want to use it to unwind and get back to yourself. So it's not something that I would advise anyone to do. But if you have to work, if you feel you should work, then maybe it's something that you can combine, maybe like remote tutoring or just filling online surveys or something. But I wouldn't really advise anyone to work if you don't have to work. If you're a scholarship student, then you don't have to work. Your scholarship is fine. It can sustain you for the time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for responding to that. Can we have the next question, please? We're really running out of time. Okay, so I think everyone would want to chip in on this. So let's do it quickly in 1 minute. How can one deal with racism? Samuel, have you experienced this maybe? How have you been
No,
able to deal with it?
no, I've not experienced racism since I got here. So Canada is a diversified country. Like different people are here from different part of the world. So there's nothing like that. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm very happy to hear that. Offer anything on this?
Personally, I haven't like experienced, and maybe that's because we've been virtual for since we got here. But I know I have friends who have said one or two things about some kind of experience. And I think is the truth is, and what we have to get into our heads is that, okay, I'm in America, and America is like, there are a number of people that are racist. So this thing exists. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't mean that you are inferior to anyone. It's just something that will probably happen to some Black person in their lifetime. And yeah, it's just you just have to, I think you just have to get over it, except it's like really, really bad. Then if it's within campus, you can always there. I'm sure that all campuses would have institutions that deal with things like that. So you can always like reach out to someone and say, oh, this is what I experienced. But if it's just, oh, maybe you tried to ask someone for something on the subway and then they didn't reply you, or you sat beside someone and they stood up. I mean, that it's just one of those things that is probably going to happen, and you have to just shake it off. And yeah, it's just the world we find ourselves in.
Yeah, thank you. Jennifer, your thoughts on this, please?
Um, I have not actually experienced, and I don't really take it so much to heart. Like I don't really think so much about it, but some of my colleagues, some of my, not on my particular program, but in some other countries have, made some comments about it and all that. So I just tell them, just know that sometimes it might just happen. The word, at least at this point in time, is not at the place we want it to be, but just get to understand that it might just happen to you, and but just pick up yourself and move ahead. You know what you're here for. But if it involves the one, obviously, if it involves the one that maybe there is, violence and all that, you need to get help. You need to get to the police, or, contact your program and all that. But for me, I've not experienced, but that is what I can, advise.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Sarah, very quickly, um, you experienced this, have you managed it, and how?
Okay, I'd say no, explicitly, I haven't really experienced racism. But what I can say is London is like, it's very diverse. Like there are a lot of black people here, even where I stay. Like if I walk out my streets, my neighbor by the left and there are black people. So like it's not very common. But then as a black person, or as a person from Africa, you just feel that need, or there's just this sort of
Okay.
burden that just comes into you to want to represent your race, especially when you're in a class full of like white people, people from different backgrounds. You don't want to like be the flop because you're a black person and you're African. So there's just that, random burden that just comes into you. So how I would recommend you deal with it is, try to prove your worth. Not really try to prove your worth, but just try not to raise any red flags about your performance. You want to be that guy that people can go to for some kind of resources. Yeah, so that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Samuel, I'd like you to respond to this. What do you think is the most common challenge faced by first year grad students, and how could it be surmounted?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So the most common challenge, because the question looks somehow, because I feel different graduate students will have, different challenges they will face based on where they are, the kind of course they're studying, and different environment. But I would say the challenge I've seen most time, like for students around me here, is I think imposter syndrome. So when students come in, we just feel, just feel down as if we can't achieve anything. Like there are a lot of things to learn and something like that. Just feel like you're not up to the task. So and how can that be surmounted? You just have to like have a growth mindset, as I shared earlier. Just know that you are here to learn. And another thing is you are not here to learn academics alone. You're also here to learn about life. You're also here to learn about living alone. So for some of us, we've actually maybe live with our parents for long or live with someone, but here you are coming alone. So you have to learn how to plan your finance, how to build relationships, how to talk to people, how to learn about like how to learn from your research and the like. So you just have to be open-minded towards learning. So that's what I feel. So for everything, every challenges you are going to face, take them as a learning phase for you to grow. So yeah, that's my advice on that.
Awesome. I think you've done great justice to that question. So just have that mindset, that learning mindset. It's a learning phase. You can get through whatever. And please, let's try to overcome imposter syndrome. Like I said, like Jennifer said, you're up to the task. You are the one that put in that application. You got it, and then you're going to excel in that program. So, Jennifer, what do you wish you knew before you started grad school outside your own country?
Um, I wish I knew that, I can always bombard my lecturers with all the questions I have in this world. I can, always go to their offices and say everything I think, ask my questions and a whole lot of that. I just wish I knew that I wouldn't have made some mistakes that I did. All your questions, they are there to answer it. Sometimes you will feel that you have stupid questions during the class. Ask it. Go ahead and ask your question. See, it's better for you to ask it and get satisfaction from the response of the lecturer than for you not to ask it and you keep wondering in your heart, what is this, what is the meaning of this, and stuff like. Just go ahead, ask your question 1,000,001 times. If you're having challenges, talk to your lecturer, course advisor, or whatever. Talk to them, and also ensure that you go to their office hours and stuff like that. Ensure that you go to their office hours, discuss one-on-one with them, with courses that you subjects you've taken, and maybe you're having some challenges with it. And sometimes from your conversations, if you will be able to get some leads to your assignment questions and things like that. Ask your questions very well. You get all the answers that you need, and you're going to pass. See, don't fear. Here, ask your question. They are ready to respond to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for letting us know that. So, Ofre, I'd just like you to give your thoughts on this too. So, what do you wish you knew before you started grad school outside your home country?
I think it's almost similar to what Jennifer has said. So instead of like the hours I spent trying to like figure out the assignment, I could have actually just gone for office hours and just sat down there. And then most times you just be there, and then students will be asking questions to other TAs, like TAs that are taking the course I'm teaching, and then those ones be answering questions. And most of the times, by the time you're done with the office hours, you already have like an idea, or like you've solved the assignment 70% of the way. It's just for you to write the code, or just once the logic is clear, then writing code is not a problem. So I wish I had known that. Just go for office hours and sit down there. You don't even have to say anything if you don't have any questions. Sometimes I haven't even read the assignment. Just go and sit down there office hours and just listen to what people are saying. And before I know it, I have the answers to like the assignment questions. And yeah, so it's better than spending like, I don't know, all your hours trying to just solve the assignment. It's not like you will still learn at the end of the day, but you save time. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and saving time sometimes very important. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing on that. And I think this is our final question before we take questions from the audience. And Cyril, I think you can take this one, considering you've been maybe 70% virtual. So Cyril, how do you think we can navigate studying online pending the reopening of some countries' borders to international students? Oh, I think this is like a question, maybe studying from Nigeria, because I think some programs, they had to start a semester in Nigeria before joining the country and the program in the country. So how do you think people can handle studying online?
Yeah, thank you for that. So one thing I usually tell people is don't trade off your the comfort of your facilities. You want to get a good laptop, a very good chair, like a proper work from home kind of setup, because there'll be times when you wouldn't want to, like, you wouldn't feel that need to just stay glued to a screen, and you want to adjust your chair. You want to like change to different positions, and also you need to do some kind of, like, call it a checkup or something, but you need to ensure that you're in the right frame of health. You're in good enough health to undertake extended hours of looking at a screen without it affecting your eyesight. Because I have some classmates who, like, during the MSc, they had to like go for some kind of medical checkups, and they've started using glasses now. So it's something you want to be careful of. If you have to get there's this stuff they call it or UV, is it UV glasses or something, that helps to like reflect the rays coming out, blue screen reflectors that help you to focus, helps to reflect the rays, and helps you to keep your focus while receiving lectures. And then since you're working from home and it's virtual, try to be flexible with your learning pattern. You don't have to, it's not a must that you must sit down and look at a screen. You can, sit on the bed, like, depending on how the assimilation goes, because there are times when you'd feel so tired. I mean, personally, it's not something I'm proud of, but there are moments where I slept for about 20 minutes during a lecture, because like my eyes couldn't really absorb everything. So prepare for those moments. If you have to, I don't recommend coffee, but if you have to take coffee to stay alert, then you should. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing extensively, Cyril. So we're done with most of the questions that we've received. I believe a lot of responses from our panelists have covered many questions we have in mind. I can see some questions in the chat, which I believe we've provided responses to, but I'll be able to read about 2 or 3. So one person can just answer this. So Samuel, how did you cope with the different food types over there? Do you still consume Nigerian food?
Wow, that's a very big question because I passed through a lot of experience. So when I came in, I had a 14 days quarantine and I was lodged in an hotel. So I don't know. I think I made a mistake of telling the hotel to give me food. So they will give me food morning, afternoon, and night, and the food is Canadian. Like I suffered. Some of the food I had to pour them away. I can't like I don't even understand. The food was something else. So it was after I now came out from the quarantine and I moved in with with my roommate. So then we started eating Nigerian food, but the experience was very bad. Like trying to like change food. So so here you can easily get Nigerian food, although they are expensive, but they are available. So you can, like I was telling a friend yesterday that I'm trying to cook amala and iwedu or amala and vegetable. She was like, wow. So all those foods are available here too, and you can get anything you want, beans, rice. So, but the thing is, and also as you're doing that, as you're eating the Nigerian food, try to also like learn how to eat the Canadian food because you might end up in a conference or in a networking program and all the food that will be available will be Canadian. And if you're trying to, restrict yourself, that might look uncomfortable, especially for people that are with you. So just try to do that. And I also had the same issues when I went to UK, food problem. So I'm trying to like adjust to different food things too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking extensively about that. So Cyril, how did you find your first semester examinations? How different was it from the typical Nigerian university exam?
Okay, so well, surprisingly, so it's like the same format, you're given a set of questions. You know how it is in Nigeria, given a set of questions, and then you have a time limit to respond to those questions. But then something else was funny about my exams though. So we had like very like a 10-page booklet with lots of questions. And then because we were writing our exams from home, we were sent the questions just at the exact time we were supposed to start the exams. They sent the questions, and then we had to respond within the limited time, just 3 hours. So if you submit like 3 hours after the time, they're going to like deduct some marks, like essentially a penalty. But it's essentially the same pattern with Nigeria, where you go to an exam hall, you have like lots of questions. But now there is no did we have multiple choice? Okay, there were no multiple choice questions, so you had to respond to all of the questions. Maybe apart from 1 or 2 courses that had like big 2 out of 3. So it's the same. You know, the UK colonized Nigeria, so I guess Nigeria took that pattern of setting exams from the UK. So yeah, no much difference.
Okay, great. So Jennifer, someone is asking, will I start my research work immediately, like once I get there, or I would have to be trained on the skill I'll use to carry out before starting the research work? Do you have any response to this?
We actually have a course on research methodology, even though most of the times, some people complain about the courses and all that. But for Erasmus, I don't think you start the course immediately. The research rather immediately. For me, I didn't start research until I was done with my first year. So after second semester, that's when I actually started, and we had a class of research methodology, which somehow prepared us and before we got started and all that. So, but for some people, they would have to also wait it until some Erasmus people, I know some of my colleagues, it's until the next first semester, that's the third semester, that's when they would actually start their research. So it just depends.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for sharing on that. So that's like the last question here. Other questions I think we've actually responded to during the course of the session. So this session, you can always go back to our YouTube channel to actually watch the replay. Our YouTube channel name is iScholar Initiative. So right now, we just want to get some parting words from our panelists, some tips to help us have a successful first year in grad school. So Offer, what do you have for us?
I don't know. I feel like we've said everything, but I think if you're, basically cook your food. It saves a lot of money, and because you probably would not like the options are available here. So be prepared to cook your food. You can bring your food stuff as far as you're not contraband. Then don't convert to Naira. And if you're coming to America, another thing that would help, even from the flight, is learning how to pronounce water the American way. It will save you a lot of energy. So there is, the first, when I came here, I felt ill and I had to go to the hospital. And then the nurse was like, would you like anything? I'm like, oh, I want water. She's like, sorry. I'm like, water, water. She's like, I'm so sorry. I can't hear what you're saying, please. I'm like, oh, I want water. Like, I want to drink water. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can't hear what you're saying. I'm like, WATR. She's like, oh, you mean water? I'm like, yeah, sure, water. Yeah, so you definitely have to learn how to pronounce it that way. And I have had that experience like 3 or 4 times. I just have to stick to water. It's water, not water. So I think that's one thing. Yeah, I guess we said a lot of things. So my take.
Awesome. So water, yeah. I'd learn how to pronounce it.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, what pattern words do you have for us?
Wow, we've said a lot today, and actually, personally, I've also learned a lot from Cyril, from Ofre, from Jennifer, and also from Dr. Femi, right? So it's been an awesome section. I don't have much to say, but I will just give an advice that my supervisor gave to me the first day we met. So he said something that my graduate studies is in my hands and not like everything you're going to achieve from your graduate studies in your hands. And you have to take responsibility to, to make use of all the opportunities available. You have all the equipment you need to excel. You have they even give you funding. You have everything. So you just have to like think. And in addition to that, say something about imagination. The only thing that can limit is your imagination. How far you can think, beyond what you're doing presently. So don't just stay in a box. Try to explore and, do a lot of things. It's nice meeting everyone, and I do enjoy this section. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam. Well, Jennifer.
Okay. Well, I would say that as you are getting into grad school, maybe on funding and all that, you should already know the path you want to take. Do you want to proceed to, do your PhD? Do you want to proceed to maybe just immediately transition into, the field and get working and all that? So you need to start planning, know what you want to do, because that would determine the steps you need to take, internships that you take up and things like that. Another thing is, as you're getting your admission and all that, start applying for internships also, because I realized that, for some jobs or some positions, if you want to join them like next year, you have to start applying now for those positions. There are also ones that, there are short time and all that. So try as much as possible, plan your direction. Where are you going to? Some people want PhD, some people just want to get into the field. Plan your direction. Another thing is, don't always be like, I want to do it on my own, only me, you're really strong, you want to do everything on your own, your studies and all that. Ask questions, always ask questions, and try out new things. Don't be scared to try out new things. Don't be scared to try out new things. Maybe it could be food, it could be some other things. Be open-minded, because you're gonna be shocked if you're not open-minded. You're gonna be shocked by a lot of things. You're going to be so shocked by a lot of. Be open-minded. Know that you're coming here to learn, embrace other people's culture. Just be open to new opportunities, basically. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So like she said, some sort of begin with the end in mind. So Cyril, what do you have for us?
Okay, so everyone has said like very important things. I just want to say you're going to a foreign land, and it's important that you go to this foreign land with with all of your being, agreement of your being. If you were a very spiritual person in Nigeria, I think you should actually beef that up and be much more intentional, because you're in a place where you're not with your parents, you're not with your loved ones. So, it's more of a communication between you and your support system. And grad school is a marathon. You need the mental strength to start from the start line to the finish line. So start garnering a lot of that, because there are going to be moments where you'd feel like, oh, I just have 1 month to go. I just want to just wing this. But you need to start garnering enough mental resilience to pursue this journey. So yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Um, you can add me on LinkedIn, and I guess other panelists as well, so we can get chatting in case you need any advice or your journey. Thank you very much. See you all at the top. Thank you, Oluwasegun.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cyril. Thank you so much, everyone. Offer, Cyril, Samuel, Jennifer. It's been a very valuable session. And I'm sure it's the same for everyone on this call. So if it's been the same for you, please just say something in the chat box and let our panelists know. So we've really come to the end of this session. And please let me apologize for taking 2 hours of our panelists' time. I'm so sorry. We had a lot of questions, which I believe all the participants on this call wanted response to. And thank you so much for sharing your experience, your time with us. So this session, you can always find it on our YouTube channel, iScholar Initiative, and other sessions that we always have about grad school. So iScholar Initiative, and you can also follow us on our social media pages, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We always share exciting content that are related to grad school, which I believe will be very valuable. So thank you so much to the iSI team for putting this together. So now we've come to the end of the session. Yeah, I'll allow our participants to unmute if they want to just say anything. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good evening, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you've joined us from. So you can unmute if you want to say something. Bye. Okay, no one's saying anything. So thank you, Jennifer, Akure, Cyril, and Samuel. Bye.
Bye, guys.